So, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Open Education for Better World and UNESCO initiative, I welcome you all for this second in the series talk on Let's Talk. We have proposed to UNESCO for development on social emotional learning to be, and we were granted the permission to create this course. We started with the first talk in the series on emotional quotient versus intelligence quotient, a perspective. The lecture was delivered by Dr. N. Gayatri from VIT Vellore Institute of Technology, Vellore. We once again express our sincere gratitude to all of you for being a part of that talk. The second talk in this series is today when we are joined by Professor Dr. Vandana Singh, Professor at School of Education, IGNOU. Vandana ma'am, we will wait till you give a thumbs up to us that you are ready. Your mute, ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible to you now?
Yes, Vandana
Oh,
ma'am.
that's very good.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible to us. So maybe start, ma'am.
Sure,
Your
sure.
permission.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I will also seek permission from all our participants and our speaker of the day that this meeting will be recorded for all those participants who have not been able to join us in the live session.
Okay.
I have your permission that
Yeah,
we.
sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So,
Okay.
the proud me as moderator for the session. I also have the honor to be junior in my undergrad and my postgrad program for Dr. Vandana Singh. Fresh coming out of my school, my hand was held by Vanna and taken around in the campus. Vanna, I shall always be indebted for all those guidance, those candid talks which you had with me. Professionally, Dr. Vanna Singh is professor in the School of Education, IGNOU. She has an experience of about 18 years of teaching research and training in the area of teacher education. She has experience of teaching both undergraduate as well as at postgraduate level. She holds a master's in biosciences, PhD in education from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. She has also been a recipient of Junior Research Fellowship by both UGC and CSIR. She is the course team member of BEd, PG Diploma in Educational Management and Administration, PG Diploma in Higher Education and Management, Diploma in Elementary Education, PhD in Education. Presently, she is coordinating postgraduate diploma in pre-primary education, and she has contributed both at national and international level through participation in conferences, meetings, and seminars and trainings. She has widely published articles in national and international journals. In addition to her experience in the area of teacher education, her other specialization areas include psychology of teaching and learning, science education, educational management and administration, and curriculum studies. The state belongs to you, Professor Vandana Singh. May we have the
Thank you. Thank
ma'am.
you so much, Dr. Babita. And it is always a pleasure to be with you because it's just not a formal talk. It's a very informal talk with a endearing friend. So I really am looking forward to have a very fruitful interaction with all the participants. And the topic which I hope, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So, and the topic which has been given to me for discussion is about the social emotional responsibility as a joint responsibility of school and community. Indeed, yes, the social emotional learning is a very important aspect of personality development, and often this aspect of personality is not given much of the importance. We all as a school teachers, or we all as teachers, where at whichever level we are teaching, it is important that when the students, when they come to us, they they come to us and they have had their first context of socialization at home. And when they come to school, so they are not blank slates, They come to school with those patterns, with those emotional and that social learning which they have had in their, at their home. So, as a teacher, what is my responsibility? Is my responsibility is to undo what the students have learned, or my responsibility is to polish what my students have learned and what more we can do, right? But what I feel that here a teacher must act as a reference point. When I say acting as a reference point, by that I mean that acting as a role model for what? Role model for everything, because students will follow you. Whatever you say, whatever you do, students will always be, following you. So, in order to promote the social emotional learning, it is important that uh, we must give chance to students to develop themselves and to become more competent in the area of social and emotional learning. That is point number one. And we all, as teachers, we can all manage and organize our learning in such a way, the learning context in such a way that there is a positive change in the social emotional competence of the students, those who are coming to us, right? Another point which I want to make here is that when we say few teachers are effective and others are not, if we go back into our memory lane, then we would realize the teachers to whom we have given importance were not the one who have only taught us so well some difficult concepts, but we always give our more importance to the teachers, those who were, yes, content wise very good, but at that point of time those who have holded our hands in our difficult situations and make us understand that we can sail through that difficult situations. So when we talk about teachers being a social emotional coaches, then it is more to be beyond the academic learning. We have to teach a child to become, because we have to take a child as a whole. When I say child as a whole, what does that mean? It means that child is just not a, you know, an individual or an entity which is only having brain in his body, right? So therefore we have to cater to not only to the cognitive aspects of learning but other aspects of learning, what Bloom has often indicated us, that is the cognitive, the affective, and also the psychomotor. Then only the child becomes a whole. Even Mahatma Gandhi always talked about, teaching using the 3R pedagogy and making the child as a whole personality. So this is what. So we becoming a competent teacher in only delivering the content very well is good. But the excellent part would be when we look at children as a whole and when we look at their, the affective, the psychosocial part, because then only we can develop an individual who can, deliver to the society in a much constructive way. Then as a topic which has been given to me, that is a social emotional learning, I would want to elaborate on this term. See, when we look at this term, we see social as well as emotional. And also, there is a learning which is attached to it. So, if I say emotional, what does that mean? Emotional learning. Is that only means learning about my own emotion? No. When I say emotional learning, then it involves identifying and also identifying my emotion as well as identifying others' emotions. And then even how I should be, appreciating the situation and applying my emotions correctly. So this is what emotional learning is all about. And secondly, the second part is the social learning. When I say in the social emotional learning, then the social part. What does that mean? It means that we all are social beings, we all know. And on a day to day basis, we all interact with each other, right? So, what does that interaction mean? So, that social interaction or that social learning, it means that when we interact to an individual or a group of individuals, then we need to look at the other points as well, and also need to empathize with the situations of others. So this is in all total when we say social emotional learning is about. Now I would like to share the screen. Okay, so please wait for a minute, please. It's not there. In the meantime, I'll just continue with what I'm talking about. And then, if I talk about the definition of socio-emotional learning, it would mean that, the social emotional learning, it would mean there are several definitions which have come up. Okay. Let me just share the screen with you. Please bear a minute with me. Can you see my screen? Are you able to see my screen? Please?
Yes, Vanna ma'am, we can see your screen.
Okay. So as I have given this definition, this is a very whatever we have discussed now, that has been put up by there is an organization which is working in the area of social emotional learning, and that name of the organization is collaborative collaboration for you know academic social emotional learning. Okay, so that is the organization which is working very well in this area. So what they have defined social emotional learning, that it is a process of developing social emotional competencies. I will come to what we mean by social emotional competencies. Okay, that means those competencies will not only be having knowledge about a particular what social emotional skills are, or what social emotional competencies are, but it also would involve the skills which are required to develop the social emotional learning, the attitudes and the behavior that we need to make successful change choices in our life. When I say social emotional competencies, those would include that how we acknowledge the emotions of others, how do we accommodate the choices of others, how do we value others. Okay, and even it would also include something like when I am going in the social environment, that is in the as a student, I may go in a class or in the cafeteria, or I may be interacting with a group of teachers. So what is that which I should keep in mind while I am interacting with them? So what do I have to follow the norms or the rules? So these things will come into the competencies. Of course, I will come into the details of it as well. There are 5 competencies which have been identified mainly. And the first is the self awareness. When we say self awareness, what does that mean? We all know when we say self awareness, meaning about it, it means that, understanding my own self. First, before I make myself understandable to others, it is essential that I should know myself. When I say I should know myself, what does that mean? It means that I must be able to recognize my feelings, my strengths, my interests, right? And even my efficacies, right? So when I am able to identify what are my emotions, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what will happen? What will happen? When I know what are my strengths and weaknesses, I'll be able to make much informed academic choices. For example, when I am, suppose, if a student knows that, okay, I am good in social science, but I kind of struggle with mathematics. Okay. So what do we mean that to make informed choices? It would be that maybe in social sciences, I may not be devoting this much of time, but in mathematics, I need to practice more. So this kind of self-awareness, and even this will be having an impact on when the student will be choosing their careers later on. So this is what I'm trying to say, that when we are self-aware about ourselves, it helps us to complete our academic tasks in a much better way. So as a student, this particular competencies we need to develop in them. How we will come to it. The next important competency is the self-management. Self-management again, it's basically a capability of a capacity of an individual to deal with the daily stresses with which we get it from our environment, and to control our emotions in such a way that you know so that we can sail through those difficult situations. Now, as a student, when I am able to control my stress and when I am able to control my emotion, what happens that I put more of my effort in learning. That means my cognitive aspects become much more stronger. By that I don't mean that you always need to over control your emotion or need not to show that. But suppose a small, suppose if we take an example from a primary school, most of the time when children are not at all, suppose in the morning class, if they are not ready nowadays for online classes, if they've not got up early in the morning, so that may be a stress in a child. Okay, I cannot get up early, so I cannot attend my online classes. But we have to help that child to manage that particular stressor of not getting up early in the morning, so that it does not impact the cognitive ability of the child. This is what I mean. So when you say self management, it also includes your self discipline, as I said, meaning meeting up the time. It also includes that you have to have a self motivation. You as an individual, what we must do, that we must help our students to set up goals, and these academic goal setting will help in increasing the student motivation, and in and then it will sustain the learning further. This is what we mean by self management. The other important competency of developing the the social emotional learning is about social awareness. See, self awareness is different from social awareness. Here, what we were discussing, it is perspective taking. We have to take others' perspective into account and empathize with others. When I say empathizing with others, it means that we have to see that, we get into their situations and then we understand their situation. And when the students are socially aware, what is going to happen? They are, they are likely to recognize and appreciate the similarities and differences of the others. Most of the time in the classrooms or in the social situations, what happens, all these crises, all these conflicts, they happen because we are not able to recognize the similarities and the differences between the others. And not only identifying, we also need to recognize and appreciate those similarities and differences, because then only we can take the perspectives of the student in mind. Suppose if I know ki, yes, oh, okay, I am bright, but the other one is little slow in mathematics. But I have identified, okay, fine, the student is not so good in mathematics. I have identified, I have that social awareness, but I have to go beyond that. I have to empathize that how well can I help my friend to become better in mathematics or in any other subject. So this from a peer group perspective. Also as a teacher, it is important that this social awareness competency, we have to time in that, and it has to be there in teachers as well. Because unless the teacher doesn't have these capabilities, they won't be able to translate it or give it to their students. So whatever we are discussing now, it is also not from the perspectives of the students only, it is also from the perspectives of the teachers, that what we need to do. So they have to take these perspectives in mind. They have to, and the teachers also during their classroom discussion must relate those things with the teachings which are going on. The other the other skill competency is the relationship skill. What does that mean? That it means that we have to develop in students, you know, healthy relationships with their peers, um, with their teachers. Because what will it will help? It will help in resisting from the social pressures. It will resolve the interpersonal conflicts, and it will also help the student to seek for the help whenever they are in the need of the same. So therefore, a relationship skill also need to be developed. And the last is the responsible decision making. Okay. As a student, they when they are coming to the classroom, they have to make many decisions. And as a teacher, also we have to take many decisions about, say, the students are coming from different ethnic backgrounds. They come from different, learning background, even family background. So, when I say responsible decision making for promoting social emotional learning, it is important. We have to relate it to that, which is when I am teaching to the student, I have to identify that kind of a pedagogy which is suitable for a student, uh, for the students coming from diverse background, be it a socio-economic background or a the higher socio-economic background or a lower socio-economic background. When I am in the class, right, we get students from different background, different ethnicity. So when I am choosing my pedagogy to teach, it has to be in sync with the nature of the my learners. So these are the five competencies which are very important when we say we have to make our students socio-economic, social emotional competent. So these five, unless these five competencies are not being developed, then we will not be able to achieve our objectives of social emotional learning. Now, let me move on to the another important aspect. That what is it? Why is it important? That social emotional. Why there are talks about the importance of the social emotional learning? Is that so important? Is that important to have a social emotional learning? I would say yes. See, in life, as a student, when I had discussed that yes, the student has to be there, you know, and the students, we have to develop a student as a whole and not into a part. Okay, so that means when when we are when we are developing the social emotional competency, they does not only prepare students to be able to participate in the learning experiences, but also learning beyond the learning experiences, they should also increase the student capacity to learn. And when will the capacity of the student will learn? When will it improve? It will only get improved when the students are motivated. Okay. So these are very important. So when the students are motivated, they will be automatically be inclined towards learning. But how can I make my students motivated? Apart from creating a very interesting content, it is also important to create a very conducive learning environment which may promote the social emotional development of the child. If the child is socio emotionally secure in the classroom, what will happen? they will love to go to their schools and love to be in their classrooms, right? So when they will love, when this love is there to be there in school, automatically there will be a willingness, and then they will be motivated more to learn, and they will be more committed to the school. So when there is an increase in the motivation and the commitment towards the school, what will happen eventually? The learning would increase. And when the learning would increase, that naturally there will be an increased academic achievement, right? And of course, this will also help in improving the attitude of self and others. It will improve the social behaviors, right? When there is when the student has developed well in social emotional learning, it will improve the social behavior of the individual. So it is important that we inculcate these important aspects in our school learning. Now, how can we do that? That is the very, very important part. That how can we do that? It cannot be done in isolation, right? We have to have a coordinated effort of a school, family, and community. Okay? Because this coordinated effort will impact the social, emotional, as well as the academic learning. Then eventually, this coordination will help us to make our students academic successful, healthy, meaning healthy, not healthy physically, but also mentally, developing good social relationships, and engaged citizens. When I say engaged citizen, what does that mean? When I say engaged citizen, that means that students are, they are attached. They are attached to the values of the nation, and they
Ma'am,
are responsible. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
ma'am, your voice dips in between. Maybe request you to adjust that mic. Like it is.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, this is better, ma'am, because it
So
is.
I'll
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Then I'll hold the
Thank you,
mic
ma'am.
for the better audio. Yeah,
Ji, ma'am. Thank you,
yeah.
ma'am.
Sure, sure, sure. We'll do that. So I was saying that this coordinated effort of the school, family, and the community will actually eventually be helping to become academic successful, healthy, to maintain good social relationships, and to engage and becoming much more engaged citizens. Now, this framework has been given again by Kessel. I've just adopted it. Yeah. So here you may see the skills, the competencies which we have listed, right? So there you can see the competencies in the center. Then we have schools, classrooms, then curriculum, instruction, and then the school policies and also the home community. So it is a concentric ring. So there is a dependency of one onto another. Now, what does that mean? How can we do that? We have understood about the competencies which are required to be developed. Okay? So the other aspect is the school curriculum, right? What is a curriculum? Curriculum is nothing but it is a set of content, knowledge, skill which we want to transfer to our students. It is the expectation which is given in the form of which is given in the written form to the students to actually uh, to actually cover it, right? So therefore, this curriculum uh, when this curriculum when and curriculum is not prepared, of course, at the school level. It is prepared at the national level, but of course there are stakeholders which includes teachers as well. And when it is understood at the higher level that yes, this is important, and when it becomes a part of curriculum, then only as a teacher you will be able to translate it. And it can be done either, the social emotional skill can be developed within a particular subject, that is called as in vertical model, or it can be developed in different subjects or disciplines, which is known as a horizontal model. And if you analyze most of the NCRT notebooks, okay, if you analyze, say, the science notebook or the EVS notebooks of the primary section of NCRT, you would find all the themes uh, they have been designed, and they are all interconnected. And that interconnectedness states that there is a particular learning which flows from one point to another, and it doesn't end with a chapter. And and also there are inbuilt values which have been kept in that. Okay, if you go through any of the curriculum, you would find that. But having said that, if it is there in the curriculum, if it does not get translated into instruction, meaning, if I, as a teacher, do not take time to design my learning in such a way that it becomes helpful for my learners um, to become more socially emotional competent individual. For that, what I need to do? For that, I need to use such pedagogic methods. And again, the pedagogy, by that I mean a set of skills, knowledge, behavior, type of language and interactions that a teacher used to provide information, promote knowledge, teach skills, and foster the learning process in the individual. So I have to choose my pedagogic process in such a way that it is more responsible towards the social emotional learning. Which kind of pedagogic processes? I will come to it. Let me just give you some hints. For example, cooperative learning. For example, project based learning. These are the project methods. These are the methods which we can adopt to basically inculcates these kind of competencies. Another important thing is the classroom management. That is also important part. We have to create our classroom environment which are safe. Safe from what? It has to be safe in terms of the mental pressures. It has to be safe from bullying. The child must be safe, feel safe to be there in the classrooms. So that kind of a classroom we must organize. I will come to it in a much detail in the later part of my presentation. And here you can see that even the school's policy and the school environment, and they must also adopt it. So suppose it is there in the curriculum, suppose it is there, the teacher wants to do, but even the administration of the school must help me to, adopt this curriculum. And last but not the least, it is the home and the community members. So we have to work together. How? I will come to it. So what I mean to say that, then when we say social emotional learning or developing a social emotional competence, it does not mean it is only the responsibility of a teacher. But yes, at the same time, it is a responsibility. It is a collective responsibility of class, teacher, school, and community member. But teacher has to be an active member. Teacher has to be an active member, even to involve the parents and community to develop social emotional learning amongst the students. So this is a simplified framework which we can propose, that if the school climate and if the school learning environment is improved, and if we adopt a proper pedagogy, then we can achieve the positive results in children in terms of in terms of their learning, in terms of their competence. So time and again, I am giving stress that it is not a single responsibility; it is a collective responsibility of the community member, the teachers, and the parents as well. But of course, a teacher has to take a lead role in that. Let us see now how. First and foremost is that as a teacher, you need to create a positive learning environment. What is a positive learning environment? What, as I was discussing with you even earlier, the positive learning environment must have three things. First is the engagement, another is the safety, and of course the environment itself. That means the emotional environment of the class. So when I say engagement, It means that the classroom environment should be a positive environment. When I say, it will be the one when there are strong relationship between teachers and students, amongst the students, and also amongst the teachers. So when there is a positive relationship between the teachers, students, among the peer group, and then the trust will develop. And when the trust will develop, there will be more personalized relationships in the classroom, and hence the 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 classroom environment will be much more you know uh, inviting. Another important aspect is that uh, the safety of the student must be safe from all kind of disciplinary problems. Like in schools we often see bullying, even there is a physical manhandling of the peer, when amongst the peers. So the student must feel emotionally as well as academically safe in the classroom. So there should be a lending, the teacher must be able to identify the disciplinary problems and must ensure the emotional and academic safety of the children. So that is there in your hands. So you as a teacher have to use the skill to identify. Okay. Another thing is that when I say the third important positive learning environment, the third important aspect is to create an environment. The environment has to be cohesive, democratic. Democratic meaning it doesn't mean that everyone is allowed to speak at all the time. No, the democratic means that you allow everyone to speak. Uh, there is a freedom to express their desires, their needs, but at the same time, there is a discipline. And it has to be captivating. The student must feel engaged in the classroom. If they feel engaged, of course, there will be a better, uh, you know, social interaction in the classroom. So when there will be a social interaction, of course, the social learning will take place. So in a way, if you see, then you would find that academic learning is very much related to social and emotional learning. So when the social emotional learning is high, it has an impact on academic learning. And when the academic learning is positive, then it has an impact on the social and emotional learning. So they have a give and take relationship. Okay. So as a teacher, what should I do to improve, to facilitate the improvement of the classroom environment? What we can do that we can, give opportunities to the students to uh, express their views, express their ideas much freely. We must not stop the student from sharing their concerns. Okay. Then also what we can do, there should be a positive interaction between the teachers and the students. When I say there should be a positive interaction, what does that mean? The student must be able to say or open his her heart out in front of the teachers. Because when the student will be able to do that, and if the teacher achieves that, then what happens? There will be personalized relationships in the classroom. Then the student will have a direct connection with you, and then they will feel yes, this is the class, and it is not only meant for scoring, it is also meant for my uh, you know the teacher is there to help me sail through any kind of a difficult situation. So that trust is a result of the positive learning environment. And when the students develop a trust in you or in trust in school, eventually the academic learning would increase. But yes, the social emotional learning will competence will also improve. So this is important. As a teacher, you have to create a positive learning environment. Now, you must be teaching at different levels in your school. Some of you may be at the primary or the pre-primary level, some of you at the elementary level, and the others may be at the secondary level. But whichever level you are, the things are important. But yes, you can use it in a different. You can help your student at a particular level and going at that particular level. For example, if you're teaching at a pre-primary section, then you can help the student to identify their emotions and feelings. They should know when are they feeling sad, when are they feeling happy. They must be able to identify those feelings, themselves with those feelings. What you can do, you can just narrate a story and in which you can tell them about a particular character, how and why the character felt bad, and then they may recognize the feeling as positive or negative, that means as sad or happy. So at the pre-primary level, these are the activities you can do to identify their emotions. But at the elementary level, where the development has progressed a little bit more, what you can do, you can help the students to manage their emotions and be self-reflected about their activities. For example, if a students are standing in a line, right? Say there is a prayer going on in the morning and the students are standing in a line, but a child just pushes another child in the line. So instead of taking a very harsh punitive measure by, you know, what you can do, you can ask the child to stand in the last in the line for a week, and then um, ask that child to self reflect that how does that feel and why that action was not good, right? And again at the secondary level where the students have progressed even further, then you can ask the student to actually find out the impact, understand the impact on others and community at the large and how they can manage it. So what I'm trying to show you through this slide is that at each level, the the content load and also how it is being dealt will be different, but it has to progress in terms of difficulty because children develop in the exponential manner, so complexity of the situation to help them learn will also increase in the same way. Okay, now let me come with the, you know, let me come to the strategies or teaching practices which you can use to promote the the social emotional learning. The first will be the student centric discipline. Student centric discipline, what I mean is that you must adopt now those kind of classroom management strategies uh, which are developmentally appropriate for the learner. As in the previous slide, I had discussed that you have to adopt even your pedagogy in such a way which is developmentally appropriate. So, same way, you have to also adopt the discipline strategy in such a way which is developmentally appropriate. You cannot, take a very harsh action on a small child who will not be able to understand or whose emotions are yet or social development is yet going on. So that will have a negative impact on that. So this is point number one. Second, very important aspect is the teacher language. You know, many a times, what happens that very this is a very important aspect that how we talk to our students. Uh, Very often when we evaluate the answer scripts, we write good, bad, poor, very poor, meaning we appreciate in the terms of only a single word. But it would be nice, if you encourage the student by saying this that okay, you have done this part of the question very well, you've explained with very good examples, but if you would have included the explanation on the second part in a much more explicit way, then this answer would have fetched you better grades. So here the student is getting an answer that why she was not able to secure a good grade in that particular answer, but also she's able to know that what I should be doing. So she'll be able to monitor as well as regulate her behavior. So that is very important. Next important thing is responsibility and choice. you know. By that, what I mean is that it refers to the degree to which the students must be, you know, um, the teachers must allow the students to make responsible decisions about the work in the classroom. The teacher can create a classroom with a democratic norms, and those democratic norms can be told to the students beforehand. So what does that mean? That this will make student very responsible. For example, if I give a student a task, group of student a task, ki, okay, by the end of 20 minutes after my presentation, you need to focus on the strategies to say come out of this particular situation. So they know the time limits, that is 20 minutes, and they know they have to work collaboratively because I have already told them. So in that way, they will not only become responsible, but they will also because working in a group, they will be encouraged to listen to others, and then they'll be making much more better choices. So this is one. Talking about cooperative learning, as I was talking, responsible pedagogic, I had talked about that as a teacher. To promote that, we have to develop or we have to adopt such strategies which promote the social emotional learning. So one of the pedagogy is cooperative learning, right? What does that cooperative learning mean? Cooperative learning means working together towards a particular goal, which is common to a particular all the group members. So when while implementing that, you will instill the collective as well as the individual responsibility in the learners. So they will learn again those important, go back to the points which I have discussed. That means the competencies which are required for becoming a more socially, emotionally competent person. One competence was to know about others, that is social awareness, and even self awareness. So in a group, they will be able to, they will be given a chance to know about others, where to stop, where to start, where to take the point of other, how to negotiate. So in a class, as far as possible, if you use such pedagogy, it will, of course, promote the social emotional learning. Another example I can take is, even project learning. Project learning is also one of the ways which you can adopt to basically solve the difficult situations. So, in the project learning, the students will identify a problem, then will make a plan to solve a problem, execute it, that means implement it, and see the results and analyze it. So, in a problem solving situation, that also you may use for improving the social emotional learning among the students. So this was about cooperative learning or even the pedagogy to be used in the classroom. The next point is the classroom discussion. What should be the nature of classroom discussions? See, when during the classroom discussion, there should be it should be more open. Uh, when I say more open, you have to be also very cautious about that. You do not move beyond your learning goal. So that means during the classroom discussion, you must ask much open-ended questions to your students. Why open-ended questions? Because it will it will help the student to think much deeper. If you give them a close-ended question, what will happen? The thinking process will stop there between those choices which you will give them. But when there are classroom discussions and when the teachers and students they are constantly interacting with each other, and when it is dialogue driven, what happens that students they become much more active, and when they see my point is valued and my points are taken up, again their emotional quotient goes up. This is very important. And when when they see my peers are listening to me attentively, my teachers are also taking my points attentively, then they feel really connected to the classroom. That is also one of the aspects. They become more emotionally connected to the classroom. So that is very, very important that There should be a open, there should be a classroom discussions which should be open in nature and which should help the students to ponder on the situation in a better way. Then self reflection and the self assessment. We are talking so much about cooperative learning or project learning, which are more the forms of individualized based learning. That of course the assessment must be self reflective in nature. When I say self reflective in nature, then which means that the students and the teachers collectively must identify the learning goals and identify the learning outcomes, what I intend to learn from this particular activity. And when they develop the goals and the priorities collectively, what happens that the students, they take the onus of their assessment. They don't feel that, okay, I have read it. Teacher will make a question paper. I will write and go away. No, they take this as their own activity that I need to do because it is my learning and it is my assessment. So they do self reflection on the activities they do, on the work which they are doing. And when we focus on this self reflection, what happens? The learning becomes much more independent, and it is owned by the student. Again, back and forth I'm going. So when the learning is owned by the student, of course it will be, you know mm, it will be the responsibility of the student. And when student takes the responsibility and charge of their learning and the social emotional aspect, it gets strengthened on its own. Another important point is the competence building. Competence building for what? Competence building in terms of learning, or competence building here I am saying competence building for building the social emotional competence only. The teachers must, um, in every instructional cycle, they must reinforce the particular social emotional competence which they want to inculcate in the learners. So time and again they have to tell the learners that what we are doing, why we are doing. When they will reinforce it, the student will also be, you know be in sync with that. This is one. So this was the responsibility as a part of teachers. Now let us come to how we can involve the parents, the community, and I think that will be the last part of my presentation. The home school communication. It is a very important, and simultaneously, and why I focused more on teachers was because unless I as a teacher is committed, unless I as a teacher is committed for you know committed for the betterment of my learners, then it won't be possible for me as a teacher to uh, help my students, you know become better. And when I as a teacher become committed, what happens is that there will be much more involvement of mine as a personal level at the school. So this will help me to develop a positive home and school communication. The first and important thing is that, when we if we have understood that we have to develop our students socio emotionally, then the first thing is that we have to learn about children and their families who are there in the classroom. So when I say you have to learn about the children and the families in the classroom, it does not mean that you have to keep a record of how many family members are there, or how many brothers and sisters are there. No, by that what I mean that if we can get to know the backgrounds of the children, if we can get to know their ethnicity, if we can get to know even a bit about their family, then we can know about their problems, and then we can be a little more insightful in terms of what my students are or where they're coming from, and I can be more empathetic. So a teacher in a class must create the environment wherein they can get to know about their children and the family. And how can we do that? That you can do a couple of activity, and that may not require a class of 45 minutes or so. Okay, what you can do, you can write a simple, you can ask your student in say a class of English in language, you can ask the student to write an essay about who am I. So when the students will write an essay about who am I, so you will be, of course, you will be checking their language skills, which is a part of your English language learning. And then you will also be able to know the descriptions about what the student has written about themselves. So this will give you the opportunity to know your students well. And when there is a interaction in a positive way, this will increase the cohesion among the students and the peers, and this will facilitate the positive mutual respect among the students. There may be, while the interaction, while the students may be writing about who they are, they may write that, okay, i am a I am a child of a single parent. Okay, so those difficulties as an adult, as a teacher, when you understand that what the child may be facing are emotional, uh, you know there is a emotional, what should I say, uh, there is a hollowness in the child. So as a teacher or peers can come together to actually fill that hollow in the personality of the child. So that is a support which can come with this activity. Second important thing is that you must encourage collaborative goal setting. When I know that I want to develop a particular skill, say for example a skill of self awareness in my students, to know themselves better, and if I transfer that to my parents, to the parents of the children, and I develop a collaborative goal. How? Say in a parent teacher meeting, you can ask, you can discuss the plan that okay, we are doing this activity wherein the students are expected to understand their emotions very well. Of course, you have to tell the parents also, because they may not be aware about all this, or some of them may be. So you have to encourage the parents to be there with you and do the collaborative goal setting. So what will it do? They will the You can help the student to identify the characteristics and quality in the schools, and that can be extended in the family. Suppose as a student, uh, a child is not that, mm, the child is not that social. The child does not want to come up to the stage and say few things because he's scared. So what can be the collaborative goal setting? You can talk with the parent and you can see that this is it, what we have, this is what even the I have noticed. So what I can do, that we can create an opportunity where they become more strong in this area. Okay, then the third part is that you have to be very very positive, and mm, while we are communicating this to the student and even to the parent, the the entire staff of the school, which include parents, the administrator, that means the principal, they should be positive and respectful while communicating any kind of a thing to the student or to the parents. When the teacher becomes and acknowledges that respect, then and what happens sadly, that parents feel that we are called to the school only to know about why what my child doesn't. And that is a very sad part. you know the parent must be there and they must listen to what your child can do, and how we can collaboratively build together the aspect which is not that fully developed. Okay, so fear that fear and unhappiness which comes, that the parents feel that it is only when mere bacche ne kuch naughty kuch kar diya, that is why the teacher will be calling to me into the class. No, it has to be the other way around. You can use positive reinforcement and praise for the teacher. You can introduce a good news card in between. You can send some good news card to the parents that today your child did wonderfully well in a group activity. He managed the group presentation so very well and expressed the ideas of the group in a very, very lucid way. So what happens is that it is not saying that your child did well, A plus, B plus, C plus. No, it is just indicating, it is just saying that today your child did this much. This was the positive thing, that in the social environment, the child could achieve the skill of putting my one's point in a much, much concrete and in much, much clear way. Even you can write a note to your parent that uh, today your child was able to uh, control her emotions, and she did not, she did not cry for a long when she get to see her report card. So she controlled and she kind of self reflected that okay, I need to do this, I do need to work on this particular aspect to become much better. Then only the teacher will also, the parents will also feel that okay, my students are, my child is working hard. This is one thing. Another thing, that you can also create a home school journal. What does that mean, home school journal? What the home school journal could be the it could, it is basically the description of all the activities which the teacher and the parents are doing collaboratively. So that journal, if they will uh, that will include all the questions, the concerns, the comments, and the feedback of the teachers about that particular student, and even how teachers have looked upon that particular comment, how they are working on it, whether they have parents have seen any kind of a progression, so on and so forth. So that teacher school journal, and it is not a something very extra you have to prepare. You can just prepare a small write up for them. Another important part is, while that SEL also must be seen as a part of report cards. Report card must not only be seen in terms of academic grades, unless the social emotional learning is understood as an important aspect, and it is, then it should be included and reflected in the report cards. Many of the schools are doing it now. It is not that they are not doing it, but not many are there who are not even following this. They are still saying my child is able to write, say, whatever the academic goal, write from 1 to 100. Yes, A plus, B plus, whatever grade. What I'm trying to say, this social emotional learning aspect, that yes, my child work well in a social group. My child, you know, uh, handles the emotions very well. My child respects the class and the peers and their emotions. My child can see or empathize with the conditions or situations of others. So that should also be somewhere be the part of this report. And also, as I said, that parents as may not be aware about the specific social emotional strategies or tips. So as a teacher, it is your responsibility to share those tips and strategies so that they can use it at home also. Okay, but in all total, if you may see, as a teacher, the teacher is the primary teacher have a primary responsibility of implementing the social emotional learning, and of course, they can integrate the home. That means integrate the various other partners into this learning. That is the home and the community. But of course, that effort also must go in and start from your end. So that's why I'm saying you are the torch bearers. You are the, you are the people who can make a change. So, as a teacher, though you are better informed, so your information, your knowledge must collaborate, must pass on to the parents and the community members. And then only a very strong social emotional community can be developed, which can contribute in a positive nation building. So, this is what I wanted to discuss today. So, thank you very much. I end my presentation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Vandana. And we open the forum for any queries which any of our participants have from our guest speaker for the day. Please feel free to raise your
Sure,
hand or unmute yourself.
sure. It's a very difficult time which you have chosen post lunch, post their duties. So they must all
Ma'am,
be very
in
tired
our
also.
previous session, we had a Google form, which I'll be sharing for this session also.
Okay.
We asked them for an appropriate time for our session. And so in the last session, we were informed that we may carry on because most of our participants are
Working.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they opted for this time. So I have shared the link for our Google form here. Please help us register your feedbacks on this Google form so that we are able to plan it more in line with our participants. So I think I would just share a few things, Vandana ma'am here.
Sure.
When we chose this topic of school, family, and community, I have few instances from like again a very personal experience, but then how it has stayed with me and then how it helped me to plan this course also. Like when I was expecting my second child, so I used to go to the bus stop to drop my elder one.
Mm.
To be an everyday drill that I would, although the bus stop was very nearby to our society, but I would make an effort to go with my elder one and drop her. So when my younger one was born and I was hospitalized, so I didn't go to drop. So the went to drop. The second day, the bus conductor asked my husband that has the baby arrived.
Okay.
So just that small care concern.
Mm.
A very social and emotionally intelligent person. I mean, otherwise the bus conductors are in such a rush of
Mm.
loading and offloading that my elder one was so happy that conductor bhaiya knew that baby.
Asked. Yeah.
So she made an effort to carry a chocolate for conductor bhaiya because little recognition was there.
Mm.
And all these things I think has happened with all of us sometime when a concern when we least expected it enriched us and it just stayed with us.
Mm.
I'm sure our participants would also have those small uh, things which have stayed with them. So any one of you who wish to share, I think the forum is open for you all. We can have a quick 5 minutes from all of you, in fact. So please feel free, unmute if you wish to share. And in the meantime, we have hands being raised. I have something else also. Again, at times, the recipient, like I also remember that I was expecting, and in a very crowded restaurant, I was offered a chair by an African gentleman. I was so touched because he could see, I mean, that I'm struggling and I really need to see. So he said, you can just sit here. I was like, touched, and I had no option to tell him, "You please sit down," because I really needed to sit. So I sat down. But again, I decided to carry on this action. So when we have again gone to eat out, and it was a crowded restaurant, and the lady who's pregnant entered, so I decided to offer that chair. What I'm talking about is a community support. But here, like in the society which we are, it is not a very common gesture. I mean, unless the seat is reserved for females and
Yeah.
reserved for senior citizens. We don't bother offer that seat often. Yes, yes, I see people who have this over, pouring gratitude and kindness. So she was very reluctant to accept this chair. I said, it's okay. I'm only offering it because I received it. So please sit down. I think you needed more than us. We are a family, and I think the man of the family can stand. So you can just sit down. So those small things as teachers also, I think when we discuss in our class, when we talk to uh, our children at home, whom we are the biological parents of, and the children whom we teach. So small anecdotes are there which stay with them. They go.
Hmm.
So next time, maybe this child who has seen the parent offering a chair would continue it. That is how we sow the seeds of social emotional learning and social emotional competence.
Yeah.
So,
That is why when I say that, yes, because in our country, it is not that we are not aware about all these things, and but somehow we have always, not given much importance to it and not acknowledged that particular aspect. So I think this is the time we have to become more human than a mechanical person.
so again, I reach out to our participants. If any one of you has any query or wish to share something, we would be more than happy to hear from you. Okay, so with that note, I think we get back to the time what Vanna ma'am has shared. They've had their
Mm.
working day. So thank you, Vanna ma'am, once again for accepting this request of being the resource person for this session. A sincere gratitude to all our participants also here. Although we shared and assured that the recordings will be available, we will upload it on our portal where the course is being offered, but still they took their time out and attended a live session. uh, we are grateful. We once again request you all, please submit your responses on the feedback form which we have shared in the chat box. And because it feedback is always a learning and enriching experience for all of us. With that, thank you, Vandana ma'am. It's
Thank you so much. It was indeed a
which is
pleasure.
beyond. So thank you, everyone, and God bless. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.